Welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading, guys. Today is December the 19th, 2021. Today I'm going to be looking at the S&P 500 where we left off on Friday and my outlook going into next week. I'm also going to be taking a look at 5 stocks to keep your eyes on going into the week ahead, so tomorrow. But with that being said, guys, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also share with your friends. Also, if you are interested in trading with us at Wealthy Mentor Trading on Discord, we do have a $99 promo that entails 2 months of swing trading, day trading, options callouts, analyst upgrades, analyst overview, and the whole 9 yards. It's a great tool to have if you are a trader, if you are a long-term trader, or if you want to learn the markets and to see how to trade. So if you are interested in that, the link is in the description for that. That being said, we do have the S&P 500 chart open here. And you guys know from last week, I was looking a break for that $4,700 resistance on the markets, right? We did close the week before just above that. And I was optimistic, right? I was looking forward to that 47.20 and 47.30 target. And unfortunately, we did have a week where it was riddled with the new virus variant, and that was bringing fear to the markets. We also had the Fed announcement, and the market was at a standstill until this was over with. And pretty much here we are on Monday, right, trickling down, unable to break 4,700 and stay above that. We did hold that 4680 support momentarily on Monday, and then we had a gap down, right? We had drop down right here, pushed all the way to 4,600, which previously on the week before we were on a gap higher, right? So we gapped higher last week, and now this week that we just passed, we came back down to fill that gap and drop down to that that support line at 4,600, which was key. We did consolidate here quite a bit, and this was where that Fed announcement, right? It was a 2-day meeting where we were waiting on the new policy changes and the interest rate hikes and whatnot, and the market was pretty much doing nothing in a consolidation phase. So we did get that announcement, and as you guys can see by these big long green candles here, big volume came in after that announcement when Fed Powell spoke, right? And we pushed to 47.30, which was pretty bullish. And the next day came around and everyone was bullish and had that mindset that we were going to break all-time highs. You know what? Including myself, right? Thursday came along and all we saw was continued sell-off, right? 47.30 was resistance, unable to break that, pushing us all the way back down to that $4,600 support line, which was pretty bearish. I did want to see that hold, and we did hold that temporarily, pushing up higher Friday before ultimately closing on weakness again at that $4,600 mark. Right now, the market is filled with fear, and the new strain, the Omicron virus, and the rising cases has the market spooked. And at the moment, that $4,600 line is that line in the sand for me. If we continue to see weakness going into tomorrow, much more of it is from the tech sector, the semiconductor sector, and even the financial sector right now is suffering from this new outbreak, right? So $4,600 is a key support line. If we drop down, 45.80, 45.60, and 45.50 are key areas where you can see a potential bounce and then move higher. Ultimately, I do want to stay above that $4,600 mark. And for us to get into the good graces, I want to see a break above that 46.50 area, where we did have a hard time on Friday staying above it. So first things first, going into next week, 46.50 is the first thing to look at to create that trend change. I spoke about that trend change a few weeks back and getting above that, and we did get that all the way pushed to 4,700, and we are in that similar situation once again. 46.50, your first step, and if we get above that, 46.80 would be the second step, right? Those two areas are significant for me, and I do want to stay above that to hold that healthy uptrend and that overall outlook on the markets where we see ourselves in a positive situation. Right now, we are riddled with all this news and all this bearish headlines regarding the virus and deaths and closures. So you're going to see a lot of volatility going back and forth, but staying above 46.80, 46.50 would help solidify things and keep things stable at the moment. Right now, 4,600 is that line in the sand. So overall, I'm in a wait and see approach next week. So 1 week we got bad headlines and we dropped. 1 week we got good headlines and we went up. And then last week we had the Fed decision and the virus again. So next week, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So first things first, 4650, 4680, and obviously 4700 has been that strong resistance, as we couldn't break it the week before, popped above just slightly, pushed right back down. The Fed decision did the same thing to us, right? Over exuberant buyers pushed it all the way to 4730, and then we got that slew of bad news again. So going into next week, 4650 is your best friend to the upside, and 4600 is that key support line. All right, that's my views on the market, guys, and we aren't too far away from all-time highs, but this thing could get ugly pretty fast if these headlines continue to swirl and if there is a continued lockdown. Now, as I mentioned, I have 5 stocks to keep my eyes on going into next week, and they are important ones, right? The first one is Apple, AAPL. And as you guys know, Apple tends to move with the markets, right? So if we do see market sell-off, look for Apple also as a key indicator. If they're selling off, that the market is going to push lower. Now, we did push all the way to all-time highs on Monday at that 182 mark, right? Which was great. Unfortunately, that was the gist of it. That was the gist of the bullish volume. We got to push down all the way to that 170 support line. And to me, that is really key to hold. I am going to switch over here to the daily time frame to give you guys an outlook on why it's so important that to hold that 170 mark, right? So on the daily time frame, we did have all-time highs here back on September the 21st, right? So we also broke out right here at that 156 mark, pushing all the way to that 170 area, which was the next peak, right? So that November 30th was the all-time high peak. And now here we are again testing that 170 area, right? So ultimately, just like this peak right here is the next major key support line, so is this one. So we are at a key support 170 area where I do want to see this hold to maintain that bullish uptrend that we have been on Apple for the few weeks now. Now, as I mentioned, the market does tend to move with Apple and vice versa. So as long as the market continues to hold, Apple will hold. So going into next week, I am looking for a break above that 173.50 mark. I am going to switch over here to the 30-minute mark right here and show you guys, right? So we have 173.5 as a key resistance area. As you guys can see here on Friday, multiple rejections, unable to get over that. Obviously, because the market was in shambles, you're not going to get Apple pushing higher unless the market's pushing higher. So going into next week, above that, I am looking at targets of 177 and 180. For us to hit these targets, we're definitely going to have to see the market back above that 4,700 psychological resistance that we're unable to break. And right now, Apple's in a wait and see approach, much like the markets. But if we cannot hold 170, I am looking at targets of 168 and 165, as we did consolidate here, and we did have a gap up right here back on December the 7th. So these are 2 areas for me if 170 does break, and if $4,600 does break on the S&P 500. So if that breaks on the S&P, you're looking at 168 for puts and 165. All right, to the upside, you're looking for a break above 173.5. Overall on Apple, I'm still bullish as long as the market can stay above that $4,600 area. Okay, another name, Tesla, TSLA. And you guys, if you catch my last week's stream, you know Tesla was on this triangle formation, right? This bullish pennant. I am going to switch over here to the daily time frame and show you the pennant that we're in, right? I was looking at this pennant right here on Tesla, and I was hoping that it would hold that 980, 986, right? And unfortunately, we didn't get that. We finally broke down, and we're pretty bearish, right? We broke down from 950, hitting that gap right here at that 910 mark. We filled that gap, and honestly, we did not get much of a bounce. I was expecting the gap to get filled and then have a nice bounce, but we did close at 930, which was somewhat of a bounce, but not as much as I was hoping for, right? What you want to see on this bounce is buyers stepping in with a lot of volume, pushing it all the way up to the next resistance zone, right? And that would be that 950 area. Going into next week, I am looking for a break above 950 for potential retest around that 986, 983 mark. And if we can break above that, I am looking for another test of that $1,000 psychological resistance line overhead, right? Switching over here to the to the 30-minute time frame to give you guys an outlook, right? So on the break of 1070, we've been going downhill in a staircase pattern. Here's the first one, here's a second one, and here's a third one. Going into tomorrow, we got to protect that 910 area. If we cannot hold that, we're looking at targets of 880 and 850 to the downside. Overall, I do want to see Tesla break above 950 to be bullish. And if we break below 910, I am bearish on Tesla. All right, guys, that is Tesla on the 30-minute time frame. Overall, it's a wait and see approach. If we get past that 950 mark, you can pretty much buy calls and see yourself hitting that 980, 986 area, and then retesting that $1,000 area, which is a key resistance line and a psychological resistance line. Okay. Another name I want to discuss, Moderna. And, as the market was selling off, Moderna was one of those names that was seeing strength. And pretty much it was acting like a hedge towards the market, right? Anytime we had these fears on the market that we were going to drop down and, the market was going to sell off, names like Moderna held strong. Why? Is because, they are the ones that are creating this virus beating drug. Let's just say that, right? So it was acting as sort of a hedge. And you know what? It pushed up 15%, which made for some great gains. We did hold that 232 line, and we are here at that critical resistance line, that 295, 296 area, where it was previous resistance, which was support right here, now turns resistance, right? And it was also the breakout point right here, which led us to all-time highs. So for me, this 295, 296 area is a major one, right? So going into tomorrow, what you want to see is if we see continued market weakness, to see if Moderna counteracts that as a hedge and moves higher, or if we see if market strength. If we see market strength, you're pretty much going to look at Moderna to push lower down to that 275 down to 232, right? You can draw a support line right here at that 270 line right here where that wick is, right? If we break that, we're pretty much going to head down lower around that 255 area, which is another key support line. And if we break that, you're looking at puts down to 232. Now to the upside, if we break 295, we can pretty much head all the way higher here to that 350 area, which was the top here back on October. Now we might not go swiftly as and quickly as high to 350 instantly. We do have some resistance right here at that 324 line. So this was the peak right here. I am going to zoom in here, right? And we do have a peak here where we got a rejection. This was when the new virus, the Omicron virus, got introduced, right? The news was, pumping out all this bearish information. And then, we got this big push up all the way to 377. And then we had that week where the S&P 500 pushed to 4,700 and everything started getting nice and calm, and we pushed lower. Now, again, the news is bearish and they're pumping out all this bad information about closures, and we could potentially see us moving higher, right? So this is why I'm looking at that 296 area for potential take profit at 324, your second one at 350. And if we're really bullish on Moderna and things get really bad on the market, we could potentially hit that 377 area. And Moderna is one of those names that runs really fast and makes some crazy gains, right? So it did push up 15% on the week. So I want you guys to look at this name going forward and know that it can act as a market hedge. All right. Now, another name I want to look at is Pfizer, PFE. Now, much like Moderna, it has acted as, a key stock where you can pretty much hedge your money in, right? The market is in shambles. Names like Pfizer and Moderna are, feeding off that. They're succeeding, right? And we are on Pfizer, as you guys can see, we did hit all-time highs, right? We hit that 6150 mark, which was the top, and we did get a little bit of a push down. Now, going into next week, my entry point would be that 6150 mark because I do want to see all-time highs break for potential blue sky breakout and a run up all the way to my first take profit at that $64 mark. And I have secondary profits at that 68 psychological point. Now, there has been rumblings recently about people buying calls on Pfizer. So that could lead you to believe that, you know what, this sell-off is going to continue. This sell-off is going to get worse, and we're going to receive more bearish headlines. That could be one of your strategic outlooks, right? So if we do see continued weakness in the markets, you're definitely looking above that 6150 mark. And this thing can push a lot higher. So keep this name on your watch list. Now to the downside, I do have that $57 area as key support. Now, if we break that, 55 would be a good shorting opportunity, right? If we see the markets push up and everything's getting better, we could see a sell-off in Pfizer, right? You want to take advantage to both sides of the tape. To the upside, you can obviously buy calls. Now to the downside, you can buy puts. Now, all these things we discuss at Wealthy Mentor Trading, we do have these call outs daily, right? And Pfizer is one of those names that we trade. So going into next week, $57 is a key support line. 55, which was previous resistance right here, now turns to support. So on the break of 55, you're looking at puts, take profit at 55. And if we see continued weakness, we have that $53 area, which was the breakout zone right here, right? Back on December the 9th, pushing us all the way to that 6150 all-time high hit. Okay. Overall, I am bullish on Moderna and I am bullish on Pfizer only if we see market weakness. Now, if we see a market correction and us moving higher, I can definitely see us moving lower on Moderna and Pfizer. Okay, guys, so that is Pfizer on my outlook, and pretty much have this on your chart because it did gain 12% on the week, I should say, and it is near that all-time highs area. All right. Now, another name I want to discuss, and this name saw some crazy swings, and that's AMC. Right here we are at AMC on the 4-hour time frame, and you guys know, as I discussed in previous videos, we were in this descending triangle, right, slushing around here ever since June, hitting the top, getting rejected, coming up here, getting a fake out at that $46 mark, and finally breaking down on December the 1st, heading way all the way down to $20, right? We hit $20 last week, and it declined about 30%, which was a pretty big decline. Unfortunately, well, sorry, I should say fortunately, the bulls did step in at a critical area, and I am going to switch here to the daily time frame to show you guys, right? We did have this big top right here back on January 27th. This was the initial run up, right? The big bull move, and that caught everyone's attention, that pretty much put AMC on the map. And then we had a sell-off, right? Again, we had this big boom right here, and then we have a sell-off. What's significant about both these things right here is that this most recent sell-off, right? And it was a pretty big one this last week. We dropped 30%, guys, right? 30%, but the silver lining here is that we held that $20 line. This $20 line is key support because it was previous resistance back here, right? Anyone that has held over here has pretty much rode the stock all the way up and has made significant gains, right? So when a stock comes back down here, buyers need to step in. And when they step in, and they did a strong job, right? They pushed it all the way up to that $29 area, which is a key resistance zone. Going into next week, I am looking above $30 to retest this $33 area, which is the bottom of this descending triangle. If we can break above 33, my next area of take profit is that $36 area. And to me, that would start to change the trend from bearish to bullish in the short term, right? We're not out of the woods yet, but at least that would give us some sort of fuel that we are moving higher and can potentially hit next targets of $46, which is a key resistance area. And to be honest with you, if we can break above $46, we're most likely going to get ahead a lot higher than that, because that will solidify things to completely change that trend that we are moving higher, right? It is the major step at that $46 area. But right now, going into tomorrow, you want to see a break above 30. Your first take profit is 33, and your second take profit is that $36 area, which would lead us back into this descending triangle and in the good graces, right? But right now, overall, we're in a wait and see approach. You know, this name specifically sold off due to market weakness. People that were holding, that were bullish, not so much anymore. fear-driven selling. And you know what? That could give you some advantages right here, right? You got in at $20, which was, like I said, the peak right here. And that could potentially lead you to some nice gains from that $20 area all the way to 36 if we do see some market correction, right? Overall, I am bullish as long as we can get past that $36 area to create that mini trend change from bearish to bullish. Now, to the downside, if we cannot hold $20, I can pretty much see us going lower all the way down to basically this peak right here, which is that $14, $15 area right here. And if we cannot hold that, we can pretty much see ourselves, see a going down to the $8 area, which was a consolidation point, and the area where we held to make those all-time highs all the way to $72, right? So first things first, holding $20 is key for a push-up, and we have that, right? Bull stepped in, pushed it all the way to $29. I want to see a continued move higher. If not, $20 is support. If that is broken, I'm holding down puts down to $14.50. Okay, guys? That is AMC in my outlook. And, you want to keep your eyes on these 5 stocks. AMC, as I mentioned, you want to get back above $30. Pfizer, Moderna, great market hedge. Both made some significant gains, 12 and 15%, right? Market is in shambles. Look for those 2 names to run up. Tesla went down and filled that gap, right? You want to see a break above 950 to create a trend change. And if we cannot hold 910, you could potentially see us dropping down to that 880 area. Apple tends to run with the markets. It is at critical support 170. If we get above 173.5, look for calls up to 177 and 180 as long as the market cooperates with us. All right, guys, those are 5 names I wanted to discuss. If you have any questions, hit me up on IG at Wealthy Mentor Trading. And if you want to join us at Wealthy Mentor Trading on Discord, hit the link in the description for $99 for 2 months. Thank you so much, guys, and see you next week.